Hi everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar to showcase the work of the RISA project, the RISA funded project called Innovative Manufacturing in Africa. We are wanting to give you an overview of everything that we've done this year. My name's Andrew Lamb, and I'm one of the directors of Distributed Manufacturing Limited in Kenya. And I'm also the chairman of the Internet of Production Alliance, and I'm really excited to be able to present, what we've been doing to you today. So I'll be chairing this webinar. We are doing this on Zoom. We are recording it. You can use the chat function if you have questions. We've got about 10 to 15 minutes, hopefully at the end, to go through any questions. If you have questions during the call, I can try to address them. It should be about 90 minutes long. If there's any issues along the way, Barbara and I are co-hosting the Zoom call. We're going to be switching around a lot with different speakers, so we'll be using cameras. But when you're not speaking, if you could mute and if you could switch your camera off, please. It will make it easier for the call recording. We're going to do some screen sharing as well, because we've got a website we want to launch. Right. So let's get started on this computer. The whole goal of the project was, the slides have jumped. It was about strengthening the hardware maker innovation ecosystem and its research capacity. And we focused on 3 countries, Kenya, Ghana, and South Africa, in order to grow the evidence base. We wanted to try and show the benefits that makerspaces bring to the world. And we talked about the maker hardware innovation ecosystem because that's the nature of the funding was to support research and innovation ecosystems, and we think makerspace is an important part of that. So this was the point of the project. It's really about innovation and research. The donor for this project was the UK International Development Funding, so British ODA, Overseas Development Assistance. And this is through a scheme called RISA, the Research and Innovation Systems for Africa. I'm particularly grateful to the team at Comonix, who have been able to support us throughout this project, the RISA Secretariat. Can I just ask you to switch your video off, please, if you're not presenting? Thank you. It's a bit slow. There we go. Right. The way we ran this is that we decided to try and keep it simple to engage with makerspaces. So we ran something called awards. We ran Innovative Manufacturing in Africa Awards. And this was a simple way of managing funding to the makerspaces so that they could participate in the project. We're very aware, I think, that makerspaces are somehow over-researched and somehow under-researched as well. So they're over-researched in the sense that there's often an awful lot of time and effort requested of makerspace leaders to talk about what makerspaces are and the impact that they're making, but perhaps that they don't necessarily feel the benefit of that themselves. So we wanted to make some awards to the makerspaces, some financial awards to cover their costs for participating within this whole Innovative Manufacturing in Africa project. So congratulations to the 9 makerspaces that have made it through the year. All 9 have made it through. We have 3 in Ghana, Design and Technology Institute, Kamasi Hive, and Triple Dimension. We have 3 in Kenya, Fab Lab Winam, which I should declare I'm actually the chairman of as well, Gearbox, and in Nairobi, and Iomi in Lamu. And then in South Africa, we had Flat Rock Studio, the Makerspace in Durban, and TMG Makerspace in Johannesburg. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you for participating and the awards. We'll be hearing from each of them over the course of this call. These are some of the people who've been involved in participating in the project from all of those different makerspaces. So they've been putting up with phone calls and messages and emails all through the year. And we've had partners from the Internet of Production Alliance, many of whom are represented here today. So I'll introduce that team, the team briefly shortly. Manufacturing Change has been a key partner on this project, and Anna will be presenting some of the work on business models later on. We have the MAKE project, which is the African European Maker Innovation Ecosystem project. And that project is essentially co-funding some of the activities that we've been working on. And RISA has likewise been co-funding some of the activities that MAKE has been working on, because MAKE is also about supporting makerspaces, but not just in Africa, also in Europe. And some of the activities have been common activities. There's a number of people from the MAKE project on the call today, some of our consortium partners. So thank you very much for joining. And last but not least is African Makerspace Network. And originally the idea was, that they would be the recipients of the intellectual property that is generated through this project. I think that's still likely to be the case, but actually the makerspaces themselves have taken on a lot of the intellectual property that's been developed. Everything that we've done in the project is open source and available for anyone to use. So thank you to all of the partners, and this has been the core team of the project. I've been chairing the project, leading the project. Our colleague Jessica, who's now on maternity leave, she stepped down. She went on to her maternity leave and stepped down as project manager at the end of November, handing it back to me. So we wish her well, and there's no news about a baby yet, but I'm sure we'll share the happy news when it comes. And Gertrude has been fantastic at helping, particularly with the distributed production trials that we've been doing, and you'll be hearing about those later in the call. Thank you, Gertrude. Sarah has used some of her academic expertise, her research background, to support the research capacity strengthening activities. Anna has been working on the business models. You'll be hearing from her later in the call. Christine, thank you so much for your work on all the finance administration. Antonio for the work on the innovative infrastructures we'll be hearing about in the call. And Barbara for helping to manage and coordinate the whole team. We've had a number of mentors during the project that have been helping, particularly with the research strengthening and the indicators. So a big thank you to Regina, to Peter, Thomas, to Esther, and to Saname. Thank you for the help and the time that you've given to the makerspaces and to this project. And I also want to acknowledge Enrico Bassi and Ben Savanen, who have been the engineers helping with the distributed production trials. So they helped to define what it was that was going to be made. And I'm very grateful to all of them. What did we do? Essentially, the work of the Innovative Manufacturing in Africa project was broken down into 4 activities. The first was around capacity strengthening and mentoring. The second was around innovative infrastructures and distributed manufacturing, distributed production. The third was around common impact indicators and data that used some of the research capacity strengthening that we did earlier. And the fourth activity was an innovation activity around the business models of makerspaces, and particularly the creation and the launch of a website that we'll be showing you today to help people understand the business models of makerspaces. And that is related to the innovation activity around distributed production as well, as part of bringing income into makerspaces. And just like with the impact indicators, there's business models around the social impact, social, economic, environmental impacts that makerspaces can bring to the countries that host them, that the ecosystems that can form in a country or in a local area can have big, exciting impacts. And we wanted to try and demonstrate that through common indicators. Ultimately, the whole point of the project was to try and find ways to help the sustainability, not only of the ecosystem, but of the makerspaces themselves, so that they can generate more income. And often, I should say, often in this sector, when we talk about sustainability, we often mean financial sustainability. So we haven't worked on environmental sustainability or human sustainability as such, but we think that some of what's been discussed over the course of the year touches on those aspects. But it's very much been about financial sustainability of makerspaces and the ecosystem around it. Now we're going to dive into some of the activities, and we're going to start hearing from some of the makerspaces. Let me just see, do we have anyone from Kamasi Hive on the line? If not, we're going to go to Gearbox and then Makerspace Durban to talk about their experiences of research capacity and impact indicators. But actually, Sarah, since I'm not sure that we have anyone from Kamasi Hive today, could you perhaps take a minute to give us an overview of the activities around research capacity building and the impact indicators, please? Hand you over to you, and then we'll go to Irene.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. And I apologize in advance. I've got a little bit of a cold, I think, that I'm battling here. So in brief, one of the activities that we set out to do was to develop a set of common indicators against which makerspaces could conduct research and assessment within their programs, service offerings, and some of the training that was being offered in their spaces. And so preliminarily, researcher met with each one of the spaces and conducted semi-structured interviews, and profiles were developed for each one of the spaces. And following that, a long list of indicators developed and were structured by sector. And then we came up with a short list of indicators that helped to frame the work within the mentoring program. And these indicators, we can share links in chat of that deliverable of the longer list. Each one of these indicators were used in conversation with the makerspaces, in discussion with their mentors. I spoke with some of the spaces as well, to work to develop study methodologies to gather data and report on some of the fantastic work that is being done. And I'll stop there so that we can actually hear a couple of examples of how this is worked in practice.
Thanks, Sarah, and really thank you for your work, and the Internet Production team and all the mentors that have helped with this particular set of activities. Irene, I know you had some difficulty with your connection there. Can I hand over to you to talk for 4 or 5 minutes about your experience on the research capacity and impact indicators, please? And if you're not able to do that right now, I know I saw your messages about connectivity issues. We might go to Makerspace Durban. Who do we have from Makerspace Durban today? Okay, let's we'll come back to you, Irene. Thank you for your messages, and we'll come back to presenting the research capacity impact track in a moment. So let's actually move on to the innovative infrastructures section. Some of the work that we did developing innovative infrastructures that we're also aligned with the MAKE project, and the basis of the distributed production trials that we're moving on to. So here's a summary page of what we were doing, but to briefly introduce that, as Sarah did with the previous one of the things that we've been quite interested in the MAKE project, in the RISA project, is really building the ecosystem. So that literally means data structures that we've called innovative infrastructures based on data standards from the Internet of Production Alliance, to figure out who can make what where. And the who is defined by some experimental work that we did on what we've called a maker passport, that is based on the people and skills data specification, which was some research that Sarah has developed. And we've used this Innovative Manufacturing in Africa project to beta test the standard, the specification, sorry, and the maker passport. We've also, with Antonio's help and expertise, been mapping the machines that are available in the makerspaces. And these machines were then used, and the people with maker passports were then mobilized and funded and paid in order to manufacture things in distributed production trials that we're coming on to shortly. What we didn't do in this project is worked on any designs or open hardware. We used existing designs. We just really needed to know about the local capabilities that makerspaces have to be able to get involved in production. So we're going to hear first from Triple Dimension in Ghana, and then we're going to hear from Fab Lab Winam in Kenya, and from TMG Makerspace in South Africa, about their experience of getting themselves on the map and developing maker passports. So can I go to Triple Dimension first, please? Michael, are you there? And you're on mute. Thank you.
Yes.
Great. A few minutes to introduce yourself and tell us about your experience with this work, please.
All right. Fine. Thank you so much, Andrew. My name is Michael, and I'm the Managing Director for Triple Dimension. We are a community makerspace that is located conveniently near the Kwame Nkrumah University of Ghana in Kumasi. Our passion is to ignite creativity and then cultivate competency within our local artisan industry. Okay, so we want to help these artisans create systems or products that are capable of being shipped outside the country, have more value outside the country. And so that is why we set ourselves up. And then it's interesting because to show that, we actually built all of our machines in-house, so that when somebody comes in, we're able to tell them that, hey, we managed to do this here in Ghana. Okay, so it's not too far-fetched. If you also spend a little more time to increase your own competency, you'll be able to create products that you can actually move outside of the country. And so that is what Triple Dimension is mainly about, and what we spend the bulk of our time doing. Partaking in this project was very exciting for us because the idea of having machines online that everybody could have access to and then see, right? Because if you had a map of machines, then you could actually plan a job even if you didn't have certain machines. So that was very exciting. We're fairly quick to put all of our machines in the database as well as our location, so that people who wanted to do things or make products or do something like crazy could check out this map and then find us on there, and then also quickly be able to work with us or any of the maker spaces or any of the other spaces that are online. We I personally thought that it was also interesting because it meant that maker spaces could collaborate with each other and be able to do bigger projects, because each maker space, has sort of a different focus and maybe a different set of machines. And so knowing who has what um, is just for us very, very interesting, and will really help us to assist our clients and to create better products through collaboration. Okay, so and that was we're very excited about that. In fact, it did spark an idea within Triple Dimension itself. And so we designed a system that enables us to track our own machines and then see what each machine is doing, basically centralizing each machine. And for that, we've been able to place machines outside of our maker space, and we are experimenting with tracking each of the machines and knowing what each machine is doing at any given point. Here in Ghana, there are few, and specifically in Kumasi, there are few hotspots within the ecosystem. One primarily being Swami, and the other one being Wood Village. Swami is mainly metal fabrication and design, and then Wood Village is primarily wood work. So we have built currently a plasma cutter that we have located somewhere in Swami, and we are trying to experiment with our new system to see if we're able to properly centralize all of our machines and actually have a sort of distributed machine system that allows us to monitor and see what's going on with each of the machines. So kudos to this entire program, because it sparked that idea, and then we are doing something that is very interesting, and we'll update everybody once we are able to finish the MVP and then share what we have been able to do. Now, going to the maker passports, that has also been very interesting, because for a lot of makers, it's being associated with a larger group that has more capacity, that has more reach than themselves, is something that everybody aspires to have, because it means that there is an opportunity if they're in large projects that could potentially fetch some good money. So a lot of our makers were excited to be a part of the whole Maker Passport program, to register and then bid for some of the deals, because I'm sure some of my colleagues will talk about the manufacturing trials and how that went. But a lot of these makers were quite excited to do that with us. Some of the challenges that we had while doing enrolling people onto the Maker Passport was the technology barrier. Okay, now some of our artisans are mainly WhatsApp based. Okay, so they wouldn't go online and then fill a long form and all of those things. And so knowing how important this could be for them, we had to come up with a very interesting way to get them to enroll, so that they wouldn't lose out on that opportunity. So what we did was we sent one of our people around, and then he would talk to these people and then collect the data and then help them fill in their passports, so that they could also be part of the program, and then someday also have the opportunities that this entire program presents to all of us. And so for us, it's been very exciting to be part of the program, and then the sort of impacts that we've been able to make or have on our artisans and makers has been invaluable. The sort of
Thank you.
ideas that we've been able to come up with, very, very, very great stuff. So yeah, thank you for the time and for the opportunity.
Thanks for sharing, Michael. And it's good to hear about that integration with the the space beyond the makerspace, with the local economic system and the local artisans, and for the efforts that you've gone to engage them in some of these innovative infrastructures. So we're going to hear next from Fab Lab Winam. And Martin, will you be speaking on this? Thank you, Michael.
Yes.
Over to you, Martin.
Thank you so much, Mr. Asante. Yes, my name is Martin Olo, CEO of Fab Lab Winam, which is based in Kisumu, Kenya, just at the shores of Lake Victoria. Fab Lab Winam was established in 2018 May, and we are a community makerspace. Of course, Fab Lab has been having a vision of community empowerment through innovation and local manufacturing. So local manufacturing has been key, has been very central. And the IMA project just provided us with an opportunity of testing some of the things we've been thinking of, and also just to give us strength on what we were planning to do. So, of course, currently, some of the things that Fab Lab does, we have a program called Fab Kids. Even right now, I'm speaking where we were running a program called Green Kit for girls in STEM, and we are doing it in collaboration with another institution called STEM Academy. And right now we are at a location where we are doing the activity. So that is why you can hear some noise in the background. We've also been able to run a program called She Builds and another one called Juakali Plus. From the time we got into this project, we've been able, our capacity has been built, and we've been able to even try to look for other activities. So we have a project which is running on called it's Building Marketplace. This one is basically after we did a program and focusing on Juakali artisans, then they requested us to help them on marketing, and that is how we are working on Marketplace. And good enough, we are doing this in partnership with local with the various users of our space, and this has been very helpful. We are also, we participated in innovation R&D by GIZ Make IT in Cape Town last 2 weeks, and currently again working with our users. We are currently building a farm tiller machine just to focus on supporting local farmers to be able to solve the problem of tilling their land. So now, straight to what I'm supposed to talk about. On the mapping of the tools and people, I think this was very important to us because it brought it helped us to reward the users, because for the longest time you have users struggling to work on their various projects, but it takes longer for them to get something out of it. And so if there's a project which was bringing helping them to get some monetary benefits because they are just members of our space and because they have the right skills, then this did it. And also this project helped us to get our machines hired out. And I think after mapping of the machines, some of our users were able to see some of the machines that we have been having, because we have some of the users who are they normally just come and focus on a small area, but now they were able to understand some of the tools we have. And we are also able to understand some of the skill sets that we have been having. And that is why right now we are able to engage some of those skill sets whenever we want to do something. And also, we've been able to also attract other people. For example, there are some group of students who are doing some research in a local hostel, and they learned about us, and they were able to come because the machines are already there, and there are also list of skill set that can help them work on their projects. So basically, for the period that we have been part of IMA, we have been really, really advantaged, and we've been able to learn a number of things. And this is, of course, apart from just mapping of people and skills, I mean, people and machines, we've been also able to focus more on quality check, because in our program, working with local artisans, we have been struggling on issues of quality, and this particular program gave us an advantage to focus on quality, and right now we are building systems around that. On mapping of machinery, we have been able to even build tools on how do you lend out the machine if it has to leave the space, or even when somebody is using it, how do you make sure that you can monetize it in a way that it doesn't exploit the users as well. So
thank you, Martin.
All right, thank you so much.
Do you want to wrap up? Sorry.
Yes, let me just wrap up very fast. I think one of the challenges that we had was majorly not during, of course, during mapping, just like Asante has said, there were a few challenges of people who really don't understand some of the technology issues, and so we were able to help them. But other challenges that we had was also getting data from other stakeholders like hospital setup. Otherwise, thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you for telling us your stories and your experiences. We're going to go next to Nelson from TMG Makerspace in South Africa. Hi, Nelson.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon,
Great.
Andrew. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly.
We can hear you fine, and we'll looking forward to hearing your experience with the innovative infrastructures. You have a few minutes on this. Thanks.
Oh, all right. Thank you. So my name is Nelson Sohota. I am a manager at TMG Makerspace. We are based in Johannesburg, South Africa. Our space was founded in 2017. And we do a couple of things that I will go through very quickly. Number one, we are supporting makers and innovators in our space. We do cater for those that are in the digital fabrication space, and these are guys who are working a lot, using 3D printers, laser cutters, etc. And they are building a lot of projects. We do a lot of guys who are building a lot of projects that they're commercializing using those machines. But also we have guys who are more on the connected technologies, like your Internet of Things, robotics, artificial intelligence, etc. And we give them a space to work from. We give them access to the machines, in the space. They are part of a community, therefore they get to learn from each other. They get to collaborate also on project. But also we have come to appreciate over the years that we don't have enough talent, so we do a lot of skills development work just to build that talent pipeline. There are a lot of programs that we are running here, for communities around, but also we do get to go to other spaces, across the country, where we do this kind of training. Something that we have come to also appreciate over the years is a lot of makers and innovators don't necessarily have access to the market. We have seen a couple of people that are very skilled in their craft, but they were not able to commercialize their product. So we are able to also assist, in that regard, where we bring in projects into the space actively, and the guys get to be building, working on those projects, collectively. And that is something that we appreciate quite a lot, because we understand people who are still, doing their research and development in various projects sometimes just need that opportunity to make an income. But also there's a project that we are running, with the city of Johannesburg, where we give the innovators an opportunity to pilot with a municipality, in our case, city of Johannesburg. So every year we put out calls, we look for innovators who are, working on smart city solutions, and we get them piloting, with the city. Now, it has been an interesting journey for us, to be part of this project. I must say, it has been challenging also. We have come across many challenges, I think mainly because of the constraints in terms of personnel on our end. But we have tried to participate, where we are able to, and we did manage to get to the mapping, but also a few of our members, registering their passport, and I will speak, on those two. We got to audit, the machines that we have in the space, which was a very important exercise for us. Sometimes you can just be, producing and not really getting a full idea of, what we currently have, and seeing also where the need is, in the space. So the exercise was really helpful for us. We got to fully appreciate how much machinery we have in the space, but also got us appreciating the kind of project we are able to participate. But also through that exercise, we got to also appreciate the skills that we have in house. Now we know, what we are able to do. I explained earlier on that we do a lot of projects, where we I guess bring project in house. And now we've got a full list, of the skills that we have in house. So we do know which ones we are able to do internally, but also we do know which ones we have to be outsourcing. And I think that the challenge that maybe we got to face, especially during the registering of the passports, and not all of our makers are registered, that's for sure. A few of the guys, especially those that are more on the connected technologies, guys who are into AI, guys who are also into your IoT and robotics, I don't think a lot of them are registered. When they got to see the scope of the projects, they felt like maybe they would not be able to participate in the projects. But those who are in digital fabrication, most of us were part of the project. But it was indeed a learning, process for us, and we appreciate being part of it.
That's fantastic, Nelson, and I'm very excited again to hear about the understanding of the assets that you've got inside the makerspace, and be able to appreciate those more. So there's some themes there about making them available to local innovators. Thank you, Nelson. We're now going to jump back to the activity around research impact, research capacity building, research strengthening, and the impact indicators for makerspaces. So Irene, have you fixed your microphone? Over to you.
Hi, everybody.
Hi there, we have a bit of an echo. So if you have two devices going, maybe you need to switch the speakers off on one.
Okay.
That's better. Thank you very much. Over to you, Irene. Excited to hear from you.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I think this has been a very good project for us. I'm Irene Debo. I am the business development manager for Gearbox. I do business development and strategy. And I think it's been a good lesson for us, being that Gearbox is a little bit more of an established innovation hub. I think one of the biggest lessons was learning about who else is in our ecosystem and how many people actually came to us with requests to actually come in and actually innovate and interested in using our machines. And what was really interesting for us, we have shifted away from the model where we had like a gym model where people would come in and prototype using the various machines we have. We had moved away from that model in towards the end of 2022. I think it was really interesting for us to see some of the products that people wanted to innovate. And even though the RISA project had its set specifications for some of the things that we could do, it was interesting in the healthcare space to see what the hospital, we went out to the hospitals within our area, where we are located within an industrial area within Nairobi, Kenya, what their needs actually were. So it's been a real good learning experience for us. We've been very, very grateful, and also to learn about what other people are doing in their own makerspaces. And it's interesting to hear about Fab Lab Winham, because Martin is somebody that's known in the ecosystem here, and to hear about some of the things that he's doing, I think this project has all brought us together. And I would also give kudos to Sarah. Spent some time, quite a bit of time with Sarah on the phone to understand what the metrics are. I'm not an engineer, and in the engineering space, I think you know, some of the metrics and some of the statistics that go on behind the scenes are often overlooked, and it was really good to be able to talk to Sarah and get some real guidance on statistical and empirical evidence that is needed to support some of these projects, because I guess, you know, a lot of us get approached with different projects, but it's on a contracting basis, and some of the projects are really small. But I think it's also important to understand empirically and statistically where you are and what is entailed. So an overall very good experience, and you know, looking forward to actually learning more and hearing more about the next project, because I think for us, you know, it's learning about who else is in our ecosystem. We have a lot that we can offer machine wise. We have a lot of machines, but you know, sometimes not knowing what somebody needs unless it's commercially viable. And it's not all about the commercial aspect of things. It's also about innovation and keeping that innovation going. I think projects like this are very, very helpful to us in terms of prototyping and being in this environment. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Irene, and thank you for your work on this and the kind words about Sarah and the talent and expertise that she's brought to the ecosystem here. And the comment you've made about you know, the next project. One of the things that we're thinking about, if we can do this project again, is to look at capacity building around market dialogues, and a lot of that is because of your experience of engaging with the healthcare providers nearby that you've mentioned. Please.
Yeah, just one last comment. I'd also like to give thanks and gratitude to Gertrude and why am I forgetting her name just now? She's on maternity leave. But
Jessica.
just having Jessica, yeah, just having access to all of you, I think throughout this project and even across time zones, and just to be able to get the guidance and understand, you know, what it is that you're supposed to do, has also the team that you've built is also very, very important, because you're not all reachable at the same time, and we don't always have to jump onto a Zoom call for a simple question. It's been fantastic. A lot of communication through WhatsApps, and I know Sarah, a bit biased because Sarah came to visit, but you know, Jessica was just completely accessible, and so was Gertrude, just for advisors in the project. So for that, we're very grateful.
You're very kind, Irene. Thank you very much. And I'll pass on that comment to Jessica as well when I can. So sticking on the topic of the research capacity strengthening and impact indicators, we're going to hear from Nicole now. And Nicole is with Makerspace Durban. So over to you, Nicole. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. My name is Nicole Lowe, and I'm a director of the Makerspace Foundation. I serve a supportive role at the Makerspace, primarily heading up funding and support for our organization. Our Makerspace is located in central Durban in South Africa, and it is primarily a non-profit organization. Our Makerspace started in 2013 by a local engineer and maker, Steve Gray, who many of fellow makers would know. And it was started to lower the barriers of entry for people to be able to express their creativity in a physical way. Our Makerspace made technology readily available to our local community through memberships, workshops, and events. However, we realized that this wasn't a sustainable business model. In 2018, we won the Google Impact Challenge, where we hosted several engineering university students, and we provided them with practical training for them to graduate university and prepare them for the working world. And it was through the struggle that we realized so many young people need these types of opportunities. And in South Africa, we have a very big problem with youth unemployment. And through that initiative, we decided to open our Makerspace Foundation that focuses on training and development across various areas of technology to help underprivileged youth become more employable or start their own micro enterprises. So essentially, our makerspace does function as a traditional makerspace where we have our laser cutters and 3D printers, and we have various technologies, and we're very focused on innovation and creativity. But we have an underlying goal to help youth use that technology to improve their lives. So the makerspace being a place of creativity and innovation, of course, it lacks the administrative and strategic support that it needs to really become sustainable. And because our organization is a nonprofit, it relies on funding to operate. And one of those key areas needed for funding support is having a really strong monitoring and evaluation process that speaks to the impact of the organization. So when we applied for the IMA project, it was really exciting to be able to have an opportunity to dive into research and impact indicators, because that really did lie at the heart of what we were trying to do, is understand what we were doing, how does it impact the communities around us, the various business around us. So even looking at the distributed manufacturing that we were engaged in, the healthcare industry, it's figuring out how does the makerspace have a place in the healthcare industry. So it was a very interesting and exciting opportunity to have. And for me personally, being a person who's very passionate about administration and order and function, getting to do the impact indicators was very exciting. So the project was very helpful as it helps us to highlight the various areas of impact that our organization is having on beneficiaries, and then giving the guidance on how to collect and report back on this data, and then how can it be used in a more meaningful way. So I must applaud the team on that front as well. Jessica, Sarah, Gertrude, you all have been extremely helpful in helping us understand that and providing us with so much more useful information, like the webinars and the data management tools, to really help us succeed in these areas. So one of my passions in life, as I said, is to help people in organizations reach their goals. And this project really helped reaffirm my belief that creating the right systems to support individuals and organizations help you achieve those goals. So just on the challenge part of things, I did find the process of data collection quite tedious and inaccurate, mostly on our part. And through this project, I've really learned better ways of collecting that data and how to make it easier to understand for our use as well as for future reporting. So yeah, that was our experience.
Thanks, Nicole. And one of the reasons that we wanted to do the award approach and giving grants is because yes, some of that work is tedious, and actually, grants and funding often provide an opportunity where you just have to spend time on something when you're a busy makerspace manager that you wouldn't necessarily be able to spend time on.
That's so true. Or to give the resources to be able to do the work that you can't do. Or yeah, so it was very, very helpful.
Thanks, Nicole. And yeah, thank you. And unless there's any other questions or comments, I don't think we have anyone from Kamasi Hive today. I'm going to go on to the next activity, and we'll be hearing from 3 more makerspaces. We'll be hearing first from Design and Technology Institute in Ghana, then we'll be hearing from the IOMI Makerspace in Lima in Kenya, and hearing from Flat Rock Studio. But just to briefly introduce that, we did some distributed production trials. We did a relatively simple product, a more complex product, and then more complex products again. And these products were selected by the engineers I mentioned before, Ben and Enrico. Thank you for their work. What we were trying to do here is find products that are not necessarily something that the mass market was interested in, but something that are quite niche products that are needed often everywhere. So everywhere there was a health facility, these sorts of products might be needed, but they're needed in small volumes. And the challenge is, how do you take an order and spread it out across a network? And that's what the distributed production trials became about. So we actually ordered 900 of the writing aids, for example, and spread that out across the 9 makerspaces, giving contracts to the members of the makerspaces that were involved in production to distribute to nearby health facilities. But the idea is that that is an infrastructure that the Internet of Production will continue to develop and refine, so that in future large orders can be spread out across this research and innovation ecosystem of makerspaces, as a way of generating income, not only for the makers, but for the makerspaces themselves. So we did some experiments, and to tell us how it went, I'm going to hand over now to Kwaku from Design Technology Institute. You have a few minutes here, Kwaku. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I hope I'm audible and I'm visible as well. So my name is Kweku Ifa. I'm the Assistant Makerspace Coordinator at Design and Technology Institute. Greetings from everyone on my team. And it's been a wonderful year already. Getting on board of this program was an exciting one. And we've done so many activities that are actually in line with what we are already doing. And I'd like to briefly talk about it. So concerning distributed manufacturing, the idea alone is a perfect one. And then we were just looking at, for example, when we cast our minds back to 2020 during the Corona season, many of the equipment that we received in Ghana to help alleviate COVID-19 spreading and all that came from outside Ghana. And it's not really helpful if you look at it that way. So during this process, we experimented on developing or manufacturing basic things. As Andrew talked about, we manufactured some writing aids, and then I have a few of them here. I'll show them to you quickly. And then we manufacture writing aids, some tibia fibula fixation bones, some test tube racks. These are all health-related products. And it all made sense to me after we actually donated, especially the writing aids, to some health institutions that found it very useful. I mean, yeah, so DTI here, it's actually an educational institution, and in it we have a makerspace. And in DTI, we take in cohorts and then we train them. These are basically people who have no idea about sometimes technology at all. We introduce them to maybe even computing. So some of these people pass through the makerspace in the institution, and they're able to get skills like 3D printing, how to use the laser cutter, and you can list them, all these skills. And then within a year, people who know nothing come out as people who now know how to, manufacture things. So this program, or this distributed manufacturing trials that we did, were very wonderful, because after we've trained all these people and given them the skill to be able to use 3D printers, what are they going to do in the outside world? After they've gotten this knowledge, what are they going to do actually after they've gotten the skills? So testing out this distributed manufacturing, we realized that yes, if they are in the house, wherever they are located here in Ghana, they could also sign up for the Maker Passport, as some of my colleagues talked about earlier, and then they could also bid to manufacture things. It shouldn't happen again, but if something very bad should happen again, we don't have to get nose mask from all the way from China or from America or from anywhere. Right here in Ghana, we'll be able to produce and then distribute it. So this is an example of some of the things we did. These are actually the writing aids, and then we also have this right here. an example of the test tube rack. So these ones will be going into facilities that use test tubes all the time, maybe for experimentation or for any other thing. And these ones are more to educational. These are 3D printed bones. So tibia fibula, they're just a pair of a bone. Yeah. So these are the models that we use to test out the idea, and it's been a wonderful year. And I just want to say thank you to the entire team that put this together, thought about makerspaces and all that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kwaku, and thanks for explaining the relevance of the distributed manufacturing to your makerspace in the university context as well, and what it might mean for the resilience of the community around you to have this ecosystem established. Thank you, and we're going to hear now from the IOMI 254 makerspace, which is in Lamu, and I think, Derek, I'm going to hand over to you, please.
Thank you, Andrew. Hi, everyone. My name is Derek Mugasia. I'm the coordinator for IOMI 254. And this is a Fab Lab as well, with a humanitarian background. It was set up by the Kenya Red Cross Society here in Kenya. And we have one in Lamu called IOMI 005. We are creating a network now. We just launched another one in Mombasa called IOMI 001 to continue with humanitarian efforts. This particular one, these labs have been set to almost like Kwaku to try and provide interventions, especially to the youth and the community around these spaces, to give them a sort of productive engagement, to ensure that they're productively engaged. The one we have in Lamu has been set up in an environment that has been historically a bit marginalized. And therefore, we have communities, we have youth that do not have much skills that they can use. So we have this space for them to gain skills, for them to have access to digital fabrication tools, and for them to be able to practice the things that they are passionate about, but of course, connect that with digital economy and try to develop something good out of themselves. So the project to us was very exciting, because one of the things we had been struggling with, I think Kwaku already talked about the products that we were making, the 3 products that Kwaku shared. But one of the things that we picked up from this, or part of what we've been struggling with as a lab, is that you have young people who are very interested to learn these new things, but at home they are also expected to come back home with some money at the end of the day to put food on the table. So this project was interesting because it helped them, first of all, to learn and earn as they continue learning. And these are youth that we also trained within the lab, who signed up for the Maker Passport. And when these orders for these products came in, they were able to submit interest for them to be able to participate. And they worked on developing this. It was interesting also for us because we learned also the capacity that we have, because existing within that community, we're very far away from the rest of the ecosystem, which means that the 3D printers that we have at the lab are the only 3D printers available across the entire county. The laser cutters and CNC machines, every other tooling that is within a makerspace type of facility, they're only found in this one place. So when you have makers who have signed up for the passport and they want to participate in such programs, they're not able to own their own 3D printers, at least not just yet for most of them. So once they sign up for the passport and they get orders, they all want to schedule time to utilize the machines that are available to be able to meet their orders. And this becomes an interesting experience for us as a lab also to see what are our limitations, where can we be able to stretch, even as we balance, later on, I think there will be a conversation around business model, as we balance how much money we're bringing in from internal production. And the lab needs to be able to utilize the same machines to be able to bring in some money to keep the bills, the electricity on. Then where do you leave room for the makers to utilize it as well, for them to be able to bring income for themselves? So this was a very interesting experience for us in that manner. It also helped when we gave out the writing aids. We particularly gave them out to a special school. There's a teacher in a special school. When we talked to her about this, we had visited this school before. When we talked to her about the writing aids, she said we had actually solved a big problem they have been dealing with. She took a good number of them, and we donated that to the school so that they can utilize it. There's a particular child she kept mentioning that had cerebral palsy that was going to benefit particularly from that tool. And after that, she connected us now to other schools where she knows that these things will be used. So for us, even before we went to the hospital, we found that there was a need in special schools and schools that have children with disability, where these writing aids went to. And then the other thing was the test tube rack. The test tube rack was interesting because within our compound as a lab, we also have a rehabilitation center that has been set up by Kenya Red Cross as well to support the youth within this community who are trying to get out of drug addiction. And within that space, there is a dispensary, an outpatient facility. So there's a lab there. And when we took the racks that we had made in the lab to their lab, to their diagnostics lab, we found that they already had some racks, but these racks were not, apparently ours were better. They're handling smaller number of test tubes, but they were better because they were easy to read the labels on the test tubes. So they said, we want these, we want you guys to replace all our racks, and therefore everything that we made actually went to them. So that again opened up a new door in terms of the kind of products we can be able to make, and us starting to explore what we can be able to do within the health sector, what we can be able to do with hospitals and other spaces around that environment, which was really good. And through this also, as it was being developed and as it was being delivered to the outpatient facility, there were children that were also around from school. And these kids could be able now to relate the things that they see in school, test tube racks in their labs, and they're able to see that within my own capacity, if I learn and gain my skills better, then I can be able to produce these kind of things for school. So it makes sense for them as well, because the lab is also instrumental in providing STEM related programs for that community. So this was interesting for the kids also to be able to relate to. So overall, I think that was really good. It was interesting to see also the fact that our innovators have gotten an order, but this order is coming from somewhere else. They did not talk to a client directly. They got an order through us, but they know that they're meeting an order from someone else. So there's that question they keep asking, are we actually going to get paid? Because who are we dealing with? Who is the person who has the money? So it was interesting also for them to get to the point where they're used to providing and meeting orders from clients they talk to and they see. But this time they can be able to work with people online who just placed orders and they just need to deliver. And those orders come to us, and still the lab is the one to monitor the quality checks. So they can't just do a project on the side and deliver it to some random client that the lab does not know. The lab is now there to be able, and the staff at the lab are there to be able to go through the product and say, this does not meet the quality, go back and do it again. And that conversation became very interesting also with the innovators that we have at the lab. So that was a good experience for us. It also looked into the fact that, again, considering the positioning of the place being very far away from the supply ecosystem, the lab becomes also a central place for the innovators to find materials that they need to meet certain orders. So when the orders become too big and the innovators need more material, then it means the lab has to stock a bit more. And that was perfect, because through the project was also able to provide for extra resources to be able to help the lab stock up on materials and still meet the need that the innovators had. So I think all in all, this was a very interesting experience for us as a lab. It showed us our limits. It showed us the areas that we need to work on. We were also able to put that on the map. And now that we have another lab in Mombasa, we hope to be expanding that map a little bit more to show where other machines can be found within the coastal region of Kenya, because now we'll have some more in Mombasa, but also other makers that will join. And hopefully next time we get orders to to meet maybe 500 writing aids. They'll be produced from both sides, and we'll be able to meet all of them in a very short period of time. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you for the rest of the team for being available for us.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you for those stories. And I really hope that that you get some repeat orders coming in from the lab and from the schools or the school system that might, that might want to use these innovative infrastructures for distributed production. I should say we've had some nice stories as well on the WhatsApp group. So we had a video from a cerebral palsy group receiving the writing aids. It's great to hear about the lab. It's great to hear about the particular students you've mentioned, Derek. And yeah, one of the ways we did quality assurance is that we had one of our engineers involved in the project, Enrico Bassi, do remote calls on the quality inspections. That question of trust in payments is an important one. And actually, we did something a little bit different, I think, with Flat Rock Studio. So we're hearing from Felix about that, but I think that might still be a little bit of a work in progress. So we're going to go to Felix, later this month to basically find out how that was going. Basically, we decided to issue the contract with the makerspace, and the makerspace managed the contract with its local network. For what we've been talking about so far under this program, we've been Distributed Manufacturing Limited in Kenya has been contracting with the makers. We tried something different with Flat Rock Studio, and that work's still continuing. The Flat Rock Studio in Cape Town. The distributed manufacturing trials were made possible through the hard work of Gertrude. We didn't have a distributed contracting piece of software to do it. And that's, one of the reasons we were doing the trials is to inform that work that will be taken up by the MAKE project now. But actually Gertrude worked really hard to manage all of the makers, all of the bids, to assess all of the bids, to help with the quality control trials. So I want to express my appreciation to you, Gertrude, for managing that. And this has been a dream of mine for a few years. It's one of the reasons I got involved in the Internet of Production and this movement, is being able to enable localized manufacturing, to connect local market opportunities with local manufacturing capacities, but also with those further away by taking large orders and spreading them across a network. So yeah, Gertrude, thank you for making some of that dream come true on this project. And thank you to all the makers that participated. We've heard from the makerspaces today, but there was lots of makers involved in actually doing the work. One of the things that I liked about what Derek said there is I've talked a lot in the past about learning by doing. And I think when it comes to makerspaces, I like the language that you use, Derek, of learning and earning. And I think that's something that I'm going to hold with me. We've got some photos here on the screen about showing different examples of being made in the different makerspaces. And I want to recognize that the tibial fracture fixation, which is in the center top there, the bones, that has come from a website called Apropedia and something called the Global Surgical Training Challenge, which was an open hardware competition to help surgeons train in lots of different parts of the world. So I want to recognize them and thank that project for their efforts in developing these designs. So we didn't do any design work in this project. We used existing open hardware designs and manufactured them locally. Now, we're going to come on to business models now. If my slide will tick over, there we go. And I'm delighted that, was it yesterday or the day before? We were able to, day before yesterday, we were able to launch the business models, operating models work that on a new website. And I think, Anna, this has been a passion project of yours for a number of years, and this Innovative Manufacturing in Africa project has made some of that, has brought some of that to life. So yeah, would you like us to hand over to you? Would you like to sort of show us what you've been working on, please?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Andrew. It's been yeah, a great pleasure working on this project. And in fact, one of the most inspiring things for me has been the interviews that we did with the makerspaces. And I really want to thank all of them for their time and their willingness to really reflect on some of their activities, and not just what they're doing now, but what they've done in the past, what hasn't worked, things like that. We really, we're able to get so much very helpful information from the makerspaces to build into the research on business models. So yeah, as Andrew mentioned, it is a passion project of mine to help to find ways for makerspaces to sustain themselves, because one of the large pieces of this project was about the impact that they can have, and they can't keep having impact unless they can sustain themselves. So this sort of sustainability of the ecosystem becomes a really key issue. So this is one of the activities that there was some work done that was funded by the MAKE project, and then there was some additional work that was funded by the RISA project, which was really able to turn a piece of research about what sort of business models exist for makerspaces into a real live website, which I'm going to show you in just a moment, going against all of the advice to not try and showcase new tech live. I'm a little bit less nervous this time than I was doing it on Tuesday when we had the official launch, but seeing as nothing fell over then, I'm a bit reassured by that. I will share my screen, but I've also put the URL in the chat, so you can have a look at it yourselves, you can explore it, and there is at the bottom of every page a place that you can sign up to the mailing list if you'd like to keep up with developments about the site. So do I have permission to share my screen?
You should do, yeah.
Yes, I do. It's starting now. Okay, so let me know if somebody could just let me know once you've got the screen share starting. Excellent. Perfect. So Barbara put a note in the chat a few moments ago about that when Derek was talking about the work of IOMI 254 and the work with the makers in the community, it made her think of the rationale that I talked about for choosing the name of this website, which is localeconomies.org. And that's because I really see makerspaces as needing to be a part of locally productive economies, and being an essential component of having resilient communities which are able to make and repair things locally. So that's why this name was chosen. And the reason that I think it's important to have a website like this is three reasons really. So one of them is around the maintenance of the information about business models. So it's never gathering information about what business models are working for makerspaces should never be a one-time exercise. It's something that needs to be kept up to date and shared on an ongoing basis. And so having a website enables us to do that. The second reason is navigation. So if I go to the blueprints page, we've got here the collection of different models, and we've moved towards calling them blueprints now. They contain information about business models, about operating models. So you have this collection of blueprints, and you're able to navigate it now in a much more natural way because of it being built into a website. So if you know what you're looking for, you can search for a particular term and go straight to it. You can also, browse from the cards on this home page. We've got models divided into 3 categories, and you can filter by category. That's here. The categories are models based around sharing of expertise, those based around sharing of assets, and those based around roles in a product life cycle. And then we also have some tags that have been applied to the models that you can filter by. So we have different ways to access the information. And then when you go into a particular model, so just as an example, I'll go into training here. The structure of the information for each model is the same, so that it sort of builds a level of familiarity, hopefully, to be able to understand what you see there. Talks about some of the impacts that you can achieve by using this model, because one of the tensions around business models for makerspaces is making sure that the need to make money and sustain yourself does not actually detract from the mission of impact that you have wanted to have in the first place. And there can be tensions there. So we want to recognize the difficulties there and try and suggest some ways around it. The other thing that I think is really helpful now about the navigation is being able to list and click straight through into complementary models. So on this one, we're talking about training. If you're doing in-person training, you will typically have a space that you do that in, and there might be times when you're not using that for your training, so then you could hire it out as a space for other people to do their training in, or even for unrelated events. So you're then able to click straight through to the space client model and have a look at that one as well. And then all of the models do include a business model canvas, a set of structured information about how the organization can be set up and funded. I think that I'd like to think that as this business models work, although it was kind of put in its own category on the in the project structure, that it could also be thought of as innovative infrastructures, because to me, the creation of this website is about creating an infrastructure that can be used to support the whole ecosystem, to share knowledge, to be built on, and we were able to spend some fairly in-depth sessions with some of the makerspaces in this cohort, thanks to the fact that they were receiving funding for their time, so we weren't quite as limited to brief interviews as we have been with many other participants in the research. And we got some really great feedback on like how they would like to use this information, how it could be more useful to them and things like that. And as much of that as possible has been built into the website already. And then there are some things that have gone on a wish list for future developments. And we're wanting to start building in more case studies and examples, and some of the stories that I've heard from the makerspaces in the set of interviews we did with them have ripe for that, and there are stories to be told here about what's being done. So we now have this wonderful infrastructure to build all that stuff on top of. So I'm very excited about that and very grateful to the project for having enabled that. And so I'm going to leave it there. But please do sign up to the mailing list if you'd like to be kept up to date on more information about the localeconomies.org website. And finally, just to mention that the launch that we had on Tuesday was recorded and will be shared through the Internet of Production Alliance. Thank you, Andrew, back to you.
Thank you, Anna. And yes, it's lovely when the technology works. It's to show us around the website. One of the things that happened during 2023, during this project, was aligned with, because this project is aligned with the Make project, there was an offer of, and it was something Anna was interested in anyway, there was an offer of mentoring around the business models. And that offer of mentoring from Anna on the business models work was 10 times oversubscribed. And so one of the things that we're hoping to be able to do in future is actually resource that properly and be able to offer more mentoring around the business models, but I think, be able to put these into practice is absolutely key. And makerspaces can have more than one business model at a time. So let me share my screen again. Right, so that's the end of the presentation on activities that were done during the project. Thank you to all the speakers we've had so far. I very quickly want to take 3 or 4 minutes to report back from a couple of events that we were able to take part in through this project, thanks to the team at the RISA Secretariat and their invitations to participate in these, making it possible for us. The first was the AFRILabs gathering, which was in Kigali, and this was all about accelerating digital economy. And I'd like to think that some of what we were doing in this project is digital economy around hardware. Digital economy doesn't always have to mean software. It can mean hardware as well. And due to a slight problem with my flights, I'm very grateful that Martin Olu stepped in to present the project, to present some of the slides that you've seen here today, in fact, on the main stage at the AFRILabs gathering. And this was quite an important moment because the AFRILabs gathering, which is a gathering of innovation hubs, it's not a gathering of makerspaces. The AFRILabs gathering doesn't always give time and space to makerspaces across Africa. And so, this was a really important moment. And I'm grateful to some of the other organizers in the makerspace ecosystem across Africa that were able to help create that slot in the program. And you can see there was a panel discussion there held amongst some of the makerspaces represented at the AFRILabs gathering. And we were also invited to participate in the Kenya Innovation Week in Nairobi. So I'm going to ask for a brief report from Christine, who you can see in the photo there, and then Emmanuel from the IOMI Fab Lab, to give a brief report about Kenya Innovation Week and anything exciting that came from that, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christine, and I'm the finance manager for distributed manufacturing based in Kisumu, Kenya. I had the privilege of attending Kenya Innovation Week, which was held in Nairobi, overlapping November and December, from 27th to 1st of December. So the Innovation Week was launched by our president, Dr. Samuel Ruto, together with Right Honorable Patricia Scotland, who was there. And the first day was to launch and award some winners for the Commonwealth General Innovation for Sustainable Development Awards, which were 15 people from 15 different countries in different spheres of the development. It was important to know that majority of these innovators were young people working in different ecosystem and industries, some in health, some in climate, others in peace awards, which were being recognized. And then we had a number of panel discussions as well as keynote speeches from different people, including the launch of the Green Digital Innovation Hub, which was launched by our current CS for the Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba. We also managed to attend a networking dinner hosted by RISA and FCDO, bringing together different players in the innovation industry, from donors to organizations which are enablers like distributed manufacturing. We have academia, people in institutions, as well as government and innovators. Was a space to network people from different countries, different industries, all of them together in one group, seeing how our innovations and the work that we're doing in different sectors overlap, and a space to innovate and help our different economies. Thank you. I would love to note that we did see a number of innovators showcase some of their work, which was very interesting, and also refer them to different makerspaces. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine, and thanks for representing Distributed Manufacturing, our company, and this project there. The Gearbox Makerspace was also playing a big role at the Kenya Innovation Week, and we were able to support the IOMI Fab Lab to present at that. So let's see if we can go to Emmanuel, and then Irene, if you want to add anything else, because this is an important moment for Kenya, and for makerspaces to be able to participate in this. We did look to see if Fab Lab Winam could also attend, but they were attending the AfroLabs gathering, and they were working with GIZ in South Africa at the time. So Emmanuel, I hope it was a good opportunity for you. Can you give us your report from that event, please?
Yes, thank you so much, Andrew. I hope I'm audible.
Very clear, very clear.
Thank you. So my name is Emmanuel Mutisha. I am the Innovation Lab Officer at IOB 254, currently based in Lamu, where we have IOB 005, sorry. So attending Kenya Innovation Week was really an interesting experience. I got to learn a lot as a lab officer, managing and doing capacity building at the lab here. I witnessed a lot of innovations and key milestones that were launched during the Kenya Innovation Week. Just to add on what Christina said, one of the things that I was able to pick up was when I attended a summit within the Kenya Innovation Week, which was Disability Innovation Summit. And because of my passion for designing assistive devices and also linking to what we've been doing for the writing aid, it was so nice to get to understand what players in that ecosystem are doing, what are they doing to try and promote inclusion of people living with disability. How are they providing access? How are they ensuring that these people get education? How are they shaping the standards so that we can also have policies for employability and also good exits from the schools, especially when we train these people? How do they get to job, and how do we get to say that they have actually learned? And also one of the things that I got to understand and be proud of is that Kenya as a country, we are really trying to provide the space for these innovations that we are doing. Right now, we have Kenya Digital Accessibility Standard. So if I want to do anything around assistive devices, I can actually go and refer to that standard that has already been established and get to actually be able to evade a lot of hurdles and a lot of spaces in trying to get that device into the market. So it was really nice. Thank you so much for supporting me. I've also managed to come back and tell our innovators what they need to do so that next year we will exhibit instead of just going to attend as a day. So thank you so much.
Well, it's great to hear about the connections between the local ecosystem and the local work that you're doing, Emmanuel, and the national agenda. And I think there's some exciting ideas coming out of that. Now, that is one of the 3 countries that we've been working in with this project. But the Kenya Innovation Week was a really good opportunity. And as we've heard in those reports, there's some opportunities for growing and sustaining the ecosystem and makerspaces in the future. Irene, did you want to add anything about Kenya Innovation Week? I know Gearbox was involved in that as well. And you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yes, we've actually attended 2 major innovation weeks in the last few months. One was sponsored by the Nairobi County, a county in Kenya is the equivalent of like a state in the US or a province in Canada. And this one was sponsored by Nairobi County, which is trying to be which is the largest county in Kenya, and they're trying to be the leader of innovation. So we were there for 1 week. And our CEO, our executive director, Dr. Kamal Gashigi, was presenting, and we presented all the different machines that we have and our capability on display for 1 week. And then for this, the second innovation week that you recently were at, we are in partnership with FCDO on another project, and we have worked with them in the past, and they invited Dr. Kamau to come in as a speaker around the Innovation Week. So
Thank you
we're
very
much, we are very much trying to be out there and understand who is in our space, and have everybody connect. And we've had a lot of visitors come through to see where we can partner. And as I said, not just about contract manufacturing, but to understand the different innovations that are out there, especially with the youth in the terms of job creation.
Absolutely. And I think Gearbox has for many years been sort of a showcase of the innovation that is possible in Kenya, and has led to the creation of the other makerspaces across the country. Thank you, Irene, for sharing. Well, that's it for today, and that's a wrap on the project as well. So thank you very much for participating. I haven't left a lot of time for questions, so I've put my email address on this slide. If you want to take that down, you can get in touch with me to ask any questions about this project. We'll be making this call recording available, and we'll be making the report available on the Internet of Production Community Forum, the report from this project, so you'll be able to hear from Felix, from Kamasi Hive as well, about some of the work that they've been doing. So I'm going to bring the webinar to an end, but I'm not going to close the call, because for those of us who are in the makerspaces, we're going to try and get a group photo, the best we can do without actually being in person together. So, so I'd like to invite the makerspaces to take part in a group photo. But thank you to everyone else. Thank you for attending today. Really grateful for your interest in this project, and we'll be in touch again soon. So if we can stop the recording here.